Welcome back everybody to this week's video. It's Rich here on the Fast and Fun channel. This week managed to get my hands on this brand new, or almost brand new, only 500 miles on this 2023 Ford Fiesta ST Mk8.5. This is the end of an era, a significant era that started with the Fiesta back in 1976. 47 years the Fiesta has delivered us brilliant cars, from the Super Sports to the XR2Is, RS Turbos, Z-Tech S's, and over the last 20 years the STs. But this is it. It's finished. It's the end of the road for the Ford Fiesta. Loved by many, was the go-to lightweight hot hatch for many, many years. And this week I'm reviewing this, the last edition. Production ends within months now. In the next month or two, production will cease, and I want to see where Ford in 47 years has managed to get the mighty Fiesta 2 in this run-out pinnacle edition, the ST. I can't wait. So this ST comes with a 3-cylinder engine, 1.5 litre, producing just a shade under 200 brake horsepower, about 197 bhp with 235 pound-foot of torque, front-engined, front-wheel drive, obviously. Weight of this comes in at just under 1,300 kilograms, and they're not cheap cars. So, like most cars over the last 5 or 10 years, price escalation has been significant, and these now go for just over 27,000 retail. So they're no longer the cheapest chips car to buy. This run-out edition, it's the ST3 they call it. They all came with fully stacked with the Ford Performance Pack. And what that Ford Performance Pack gave you, a few tasty nice to haves, launch control, shift up lights, etc. But the big thing it gave you was up front a limited slip differential, the LSD. And it'll be intriguing to see how that LSD manages to put down the power and hopefully bring the Fiesta ST alive with regard to its hot hatch performance. Let's take a walk around the car, show you a couple of the key features like normal, and then take this out on some of the UK's best B-roads. One of the first things you notice when you come up to the car is the size of it. I've not looked at the dimensions, but it does look almost Ford Focus size from probably 10 or 15 years ago. This Fiesta has grown hugely. I actually did a quick Google of what the original Fiesta weighed from the late 70s, and it was about 760 kilograms, and it's now just the right side of 1,300. It's grown in length, width and height, and it's a much bigger car. It's no longer that small little hot hatch. It's certainly grown into something now that for me is more mid-size. And pertinent to this Mark 8.5 as well is there was no 3D variant. They only ever came, or they only will and do come in 5-door. So that just sometimes loses some of its sporty looking aesthetics, but the benefit with having a 5-door is obviously access to the rear seats, becoming more usable, and the front doors in particular don't have to be as long as you would in a coupe, which for everyday practicality, opening the door, car parks, etc., just means it's an easier car to live with. Other than the size and the 5-door, is these huge, beautiful 18-inch anthracite or gunmetal grey alloy wheels. And what's really good to see is that Ford have actually wrapped these alloys in Michelin Pilot Sport tyres as well. 205 40 ZR18s, absolutely outstanding. If we take a look at the front of the car, this honeycomb mesh grille for the, it looks like the intercooler at the bottom. under the registration plate and the radiator above it. Lots of air there to cool down the engine when it's performing. No front fog lights. As you can see, where they would traditionally be, the front fog lights are actually now embedded within the main head light unit itself. If we go towards the back of the car, probably for me not its best feature, the back. This one hasn't got Fiesta. I don't know if they came as standard with the Fiesta badging, but it does have the ST badging, and it's very pronounced. It's certainly very much telling you what the credentials are. There's not subtlety there, and it's a twin exhaust with this colour-coded rear diffuser as well that sits at the bottom of the car. That tinted rear screen as well, and quite a pronounced, almost ducktail rear spoiler there as well over that rear window. When you move into the car as well, let's have a look at the back of the car. And you can see here, this is where it scores. The size increase scores heavily on usability. These rear seats, there looks like there's plenty of leg room in the back there. And up front, where it really matters, the first thing to see, well, there's no mistaking the car with a Ford Performance sill cover. They're telling you you're stepping into something quite special. And then these wonderful looking half leather, half Alcantara Ford Performance seats. Look like they're nicely, heavily lumbar support here on these. Look really, really clean, looks really, really tidy. And then the steering wheel, flat-bottomed ST embossed on the bottom of the steering, just to remind you you're in something a little bit special. And then as you look in the dash, you've got the now pretty much compulsory infotainment system screen. Great to see a 6-speed manual gearbox there as well, and some splashes of carbon effect around the dash to lift this Ford Fiesta. Look at the buttons on the steering wheel. Oh my word, a whole range here, dozen or so probably either side of buttons, and people that follow the channel know my hatred of cluttering up steering wheels. Let's take a look under the engine. And under the engine bay, quite a nice to see a modern car. And on the channel I've not reviewed many modern cars, but really good to see a car that's not just completely covered in plastic shrouding. You can actually see metal parts, you can see engine mounts, and you can see injectors, and it all looks, yeah, it all looks more engine than I was expecting. Clearly only a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder, but you've got to accept that's the way we're going with emissions, etc. And again, Ford just telling you again, the Ford Performance badging on this particular car. So here we go. Just in case you've forgot, you've got two huge ST emblems, Sports Technologies, that lights up both in the main infotainment screen and on the dash itself. And at the bottom, again, that ST logo at the bottom of the flat bottom steering wheel. 6-speed manual, great to see. Lovely leather clad steering wheel, quite thick, chunky steering wheel. So let's get this 3-cylinder motor started. Press clutch, push button start, and there we go. You've got rev counter, digital dash, rev counter on the right hand side, speedo on the left with a digital readout, and then a trip computer in the middle. Traditional handbrake, which is good to see. So let's pull away and see what this last generation Fiesta ST is like. And wow, even in the first 20 feet, the suspension, there's no masking that you are in a sports car, because this is firm suspension. Wow, most definitely. Yeah, and the steering, a little bit grabby, the brakes there, and the steering quite weighty in a positive sense, actually. Sometimes steering feel can be quite artificial with modern cars, but they've certainly put quite a bias towards heavy feel in the steering wheel. Right, let's go out of here onto some better B roads, and join me once I've got this engine nicely warmed up. These seats are hugely comfortable and also offer me, on the larger side really, but lots and lots of support, lumbar support. I like them a lot, and it was a brave move from Ford, the performance division, to move away from Recaro. But I've got no issue with these seats at all. In fact, I think they look great and they feel even better. Just about to pull out of 30 zone here. I've just dropped into second gear, 25 miles an hour, second gear, and the accelerator pulls up, right up, 6.5, into third. Yeah, and you're at quick speeds. So that 200-ish horsepower feels about right. You probably just want it to go that little bit quicker, but that 3 cylinders, it's making good power. But I don't think that's its forte. Gearbox is a little bit, yeah, it's not the smoothest, it's not the slickest type of shift actually, and it just feels a little bit low. It's just like if they'd have made it a bit higher and a bit more forward maybe. It's just feels like I'm reaching down for it from the steering wheel. But on the steering wheel, that's nice. Nicely leather clad, the red stitching. It's a nice size, quite thick, quite chunky. And these early corners here, beautiful. Real good steering feel. Almost feels sort of Megane-esque in regard to how it went through those corners. It's quite darty with the firm suspension, but at the same time it's going over some of these pretty rough roads. The damping's really, really good. When I first started, for the first couple of miles, the brakes were just a little bit grabby. But now they've sort of, I don't know, they've just sort of bedded in for a few miles, and they're now offering plenty of feel, plenty of be able to modulate the braking nicely. Early impressions are good. If you've got any reservations about a 3-cylinder, forget them, because you wouldn't know. The 3-cylinders do have a little distinct tone, just like the GR Yaris's do, but don't worry, there's plenty of performance on tap here. There's 3 modes to choose from as well. So you've got the standard mode, and you've got sport mode, and then you've got track mode. From normal to sport, a few things change. Throttle mapping, the steering, apparently brakes. So we'll try that. I'll just put it into, so it's normal, we're in sport now. Track I'm not going to do, it's not my car, and that actually disables traction control, which I'm not going to do, certainly on these roads. So, but now we're now in sport and just want to see. Wow, that throttle response immediately, it's on fire there. This is quite a fast flowing road here, really potholed, off camber, few compressions. Oh, it's going over this brilliantly. There's almost a few little pops and bangs I can just hear at the back of the car as well. Oh, the way it's pulling round some of these corners. When it goes into a corner and you can feel it load up, and then you can feel the LSD working, and you get on that power so quick. But if you back off, it'll just tighten the line up a little bit, and it's just so adjustable. You can almost steer around some of the corners with the throttle. It's a wonderful ability and capability to do that. And that's because they've gone and fitted the LSD, 5 LSD. Just coming out of this 30 zone here, second gear, really good bit of road this here. Just see how this car pulls right up, only to about 6,000 revs, and oh, the way it's coming through some of these corners is absolutely brilliant. Rides the road so well. Just dropping into third through here. This limited slip diff is just allowing you to put the power down. It's finding grip where you shouldn't be finding grip. Fabulous. It's, oh, little couple of tight left-handers here. Flip it down in second gear. Wow. Oh, gripping, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's exactly what you want a hot hatch to be, and the way it drives, it almost defies that this is a 1,300 kilogram car. Most STs as well will be used daily. Not many will be bought just for the weekend, and so the day-to-day practicalities of owning something like this hot hatch are actually really important. And I think the 5 doors does make it a very usable small family hatchback, and at the same time the 6th gear, relatively low in the revs. I'm going now at 60 miles an hour and the revs are at 2.1, 2.2, so it's a very, you could see yourself, it's not a tiresome car. You could make fast, swift progress on that drizzly, wet, dark Monday morning commute into work. And that's important for a Fiesta. It can't be too hardcore. And I think Ford have nailed it. And they should have done. They've had 47 years to perfect it. But unfortunately, the Fiesta's gone. Forever. Over £27,000 retail price. That's expensive. And with that budget, wouldn't you be tempted to get a 2 or 3 year old FKA Civic Type R, or even a GR Yaris? The biggest disappointment for me is just the gearbox. That's the only thing I would change on the car. Both its position, it seems to be too low down. I'm reaching down for it. They've made it a ridiculously short, stubby gear lever. And the second is the change itself. It's a little bit notchy. It's not a particularly pleasant wouldn't change. But otherwise, even the engine, I wouldn't change it. I think it's perfectly matched. And when people are hunting for remaps and more power, and drive one of these, drive this ST, 200 horsepower on today's busy roads is more than enough for anybody. You'll still have huge amounts of fun, and you can exploit more of that performance more of the time. The way it rides the road as well, the chassis is really good. The ability to damp all the potholes and compressions that you find, but at the same time there seems to be no lack of traction. The LSD doing a wonderful job out front to put that power down. There's the slightest feint of torque steer, but that's all it is. It really is surprising me. I just thought it'd be a bit of a letdown, a bit too big, a bit too heavy, a bit too slow, a bit too ponderous. No, not at all. The brakes have just got better and better during the day as well. And don't forget, this is still bedding in as well. But for me, it's the steering. People that say modern day steering, it's just vague, it's just all digital. Oh, I can see why people come to Ford. They do this so well. Well, that's why actually it's a sad day that we're weeks away from this being the end. Never mind Fiesta, what a way to go out. And so if you're really after a new car and you want something that is fast and is fun, don't overlook the ST just because the stats don't make it look brilliant. Because this car has today surprised me. I absolutely love it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe below, and stay tuned. Another video next week. Thanks for watching, guys.